My guest today has been a huge part of Coronation Street for the past 10 and a half years, playing a beloved character at the heart of the show's 60th anniversary celebrations. After over a decade playing Yasmeen Metcalfe, Shelley King recently said goodbye to the Cobbles, and I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to get her back on the podcast for one final chat. Shelley, welcome back to the show.
It's an honor and pleasure to be here with you, Michael.
Oh,
Really,
it's so
really.
lovely. It's so lovely to see you today. Oh, I missed you already. It's only been a little while since you've been off Coronation Street, so it's lovely chatting. What my first question is, why now? What prompted you to leave the show after over a decade in the role?
Well, I suppose this is my 70th year. It's Yasmin's 72nd, but it's my 70th. And I've been working on a play with a wonderful writer, Elizabeth Cootie, and which is on a project to explore my heritage, which is an Anglo-Indian one that nobody really knows anything about because we are the children of the Raj, born of mixed marriage,
Mm,
probably in the early 18th century. And a lot of Anglo-Indians didn't admit their heritage because they always wanted to be known as British and
sure.
seen as British. And it's a very complex and little told story. So we've been researching into it, and we want to make something entertaining, informative,
Hmm.
dramatic, funny and sad. And they don't like to talk. There's not a sort of great deal of conversation about how it happened, why it happened, and why this lost race has been lost and denied by
Mm.
many. I mean, the most, I suppose, famous Anglo-Indian is Cliff Richard, and for a long time he denied
Yeah,
his
yeah,
heritage. But that's what I've been doing, and I want to take my time over it.
yeah.
Mike, I want to really research it well, and I don't want to make it just a history lesson, although I think it's a fascinating history lesson.
Mm.
I have learned more about being Indian because I was an Anglo-Indian community. I went to a French school because Calcutta was nearly a French colony, or India was nearly a French colony.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to talk about it. And I've done lots of theatre playing classical roles.
Mm.
But on television, I'm not known for anything other than Tandoori Nights or King of the Ghetto or various characters in even Coronation Street playing Yasmeen, who's Pakistani,
Yeah.
or she's born at a time, she's 2 years older than me, but she's born at a time when partition just happened. So she's
Mm.
an Indian,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a way. It is the subcontinent.
When can we expect to see or hear that? Or are you just taking your time and seeing how long it takes to come together?
I hope in July,
Yeah.
and their executive director has offered us a room to have a showing, which we'll invite some people to, and we'll take it from there. I mean, let's see. We might even do 5 shows somewhere, and then do some more, and then do some more. Mainly, I'm leaving. So when you say I'm leaving Calcutta, Yasmin hasn't left the
Oh,
street. Yasmin, I don't know. I mean, she might have. She might never come back again. But Yasmin has simply gone to London
sure. It's not that
to
far away, is it?
to
It
actually follow a charity, which is a very, I'm also ambassador to a charity, a modern slavery charity. So she's just gone off to do something, and that street, that commute, Weatherfield has so many memories and nightmares for
yeah.
her. Now she's got nobody in her life. She's sort of alone in this house with
Mm.
all the memories of it nearly being burnt down, being chucked off a roof, being knifed in the kitchen. I mean, come on. So I thought it was a good time, really. And I talked
Yeah.
to the producer, who's now the executive producer, Ian McLeod, and you know, I think it's an interesting time when we didn't say goodbye to each other. We had no promises of return but I suppose it's a way of not breaking one's heart and saying I'm going away because
Yeah.
I've got many ties. I love the people in the street. I love everybody. I mean, the makeup guys, the wardrobe guys, the security guys, not only the actors. We're all a family, Mike,
Sure.
and the thought of leaving them and saying, "Look, I'm just going," I don't know whether you've seen she just goes off in her car.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
No, no.
It's just a, so it
Yeah.
wasn't a huge farewell.
No,
So
it ended on a hopeful note for the character, but it was certainly wasn't a closing the door on her forever, I would hope.
I don't know. We none of us know, but we
No,
decided that that's not what we would do. We would not.
not been killed off.
Yeah, we won't be in a huge smashing, explosion
Yeah.
of self-explanatory denial. I don't know what, but no,
See, I was wondering when they had the fire at the Platt's house, and I know
uh,
you were going at that point. I was thinking, oh, is it going to spread next door? So I'm
listen, man,
glad you
listen.
survived that.
I remember saying, listen, why isn't Yasmeen hopping about, man? But this fire's going to just. I mean, she's next door, you know. Why isn't she doing anything? I was like, well, anyway, that's theatre, doctor theatre, whatever.
Exactly,
Which I,
exactly,
what the hell is
exactly.
the story, isn't it? So yeah, but I know.
Look, you've been on such a long journey with Yasmeen, though, haven't you? When you first joined the show, did you have any notion that it would be over 10 years you'd be staying there?
No, not at all. I mean, I've obviously been watching, but one of the very first programs that I saw when I came to this country in, what was it, 1964.
Hmm.
That tune has haunted me. Da 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 da. I used to be totally depressed because I was from this very warm, wonderful. I was 10, going on 11, and
Yeah,
this was all new to me, and coming home at night to watch this black and white television, and actually receive a lot of prejudice from the schools I went to, which were
yeah,
private schools at the time, and much less when I moved on to ordinary junior schools. But at that time, the music was made me very. I associated that with a very sort of downtime in my life, and then I started to watch it, and my grandmother watched it, my aunts watched it, and it was wonderful. It was a story about real people and real things, and it was so funny. Gene Alexander, all those extraordinary, Pat Phoenix,
yeah.
wonderful
What an
actors.
era that was.
I mean, amazing. So of course, my ideas about Coronation Street changed, and I became quite addicted myself with many of my friends. One of my friends, who's my ex-partner, she used to never, we used to record it on our old videos, with the
Yeah,
and
yeah.
well, never miss. And now watching the old things, the old archive things, or not archive, but they're
They
fantastic.
really are. They are. So are you have you still been watching Coronation Street since you've left? You finished filming just before Christmas, I think, didn't you? Have you been keeping
Yeah,
up with it?
yeah, I did. To be honest with you, I haven't. I watched last week's and the week before just to see how she left. To be honest, it made me very sad. I didn't
No, I
want to.
bet.
I had a quick text and stuff, WhatsApp with Sarah. It was her birthday in February,
Ah,
and yeah, so she sent pictures of her kids and everything. But yeah, it makes me sometimes quite sad, I have to admit. And so I'm trying to concentrate on this. Where I'm in Suffolk at the moment, where we bought a little home, and my family are all around here, and Trilby, my partner, my wife's family are all around here, and so it's very nice to. And in a strange way, we have moved the fact we had to Manchester in here. I am sitting in this room that looks a lot like, it's a tiny bit smaller, but I've got my furniture, I've got my furniture, and it's sort of like a version. I've moved everything,
yeah,
and
I
so
love it.
it's very new and it's very raw, Michael, and it's 11 years of being there, being with people,
Yeah,
because
constant.
although I tend to work even in theatre. I would say about 6 or 7 directors who I work with all the time with different companies though. But 11 years is a
Mm,
huge amount of time with meeting people, connecting with them, connecting with everybody, and connecting with Manchester, making friends in Manchester, habits.
yeah.
It's a bit sad, but I keep saying I'm going to go back, and I will go back. So
I
maybe
hope,
on tour.
I hope so.
I hope with this show at some point. I'm hoping anyway. Yeah.
Last time we spoke on the podcast, I think was about 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
summer 2020, back when
yeah,
the
yeah,
world was trapped inside, and Yasmeen was in a bit of a lockdown of her own in prison, wasn't she?
yeah,
What
yeah.
what was it like doing those prison scenes? Was it a bit lonely being away from the usual characters, or did you
Bloody,
quite like
it was
having somewhere
bloody
different to film for a
freezing.
change?
It was freezing. It
Was
was
it?
so cold. It was so cold. I used to pity the poor people who were playing the cards and everything, because
Mm.
they had little short things on. At least I had this big thing, and underneath it, Yasmin, rather than get thin in prison, she put on a lot of weight because I had like, garments,
Yeah.
thermals, everything. Um, it was interesting, but I mean, the extraordinary thing about lockdown was that you probably know we were given special dispensation because we only actually had a month, just over a month off in
Mm.
Coronation Street, and then we were allowed to travel
Yeah.
to and from wherever we lived to the street.
Mm.
But the extraordinary thing about lockdown was that it really focused on the storyline, on the
Yeah.
points we were trying to make in the storyline, because that the already high figures of abuse went up 70%
Yeah.
because people were forced to stay in,
Mm.
and
Mm.
and people actually were given permission. People who believed themselves to be victims of abuse were given permission to leave their homes and
Yeah.
go out and seek refuge and
Mm.
seek help. And so it became an already important storyline and message for women and men around the world, actually,
Mm.
because this program is huge in parts of North America who can get Canadian
Oh
television.
yeah. Canada loves Coronation Street.
In London, all the people who stop me are usually Canadian, or New Zealanders, or
Hmm.
Australians. That I mean, so it and that storyline was an universal one,
Yeah.
So, and everybody was suffering lockdown, not just us, but everybody. I know they were just a bit behind, but those levels of abuse had got all around the same time, even if they were 3 months behind or 4 months behind. So it became an extraordinary piece of theatre, and
Mm.
it was so well written and
Yeah.
and researched.
It was.
That
It was
Yeah,
huge. It won so many awards. Everybody loved that storyline, and it was
yeah,
very timely for how it came in lockdown. You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
yeah,
I did enjoy some of the theatrics of it as well, like the scenes where the magic show where you were in the box, and even
yeah,
back in the prison,
yeah.
you had the scene. Did you remember the dream sequence where there were loads
Oh
of
God.
Jeff all over the place?
Yeah, yeah, and also Jiggle-It Geoff. People were,
Yeah.
everywhere I went, people would say Jiggle-It Geoff. I was at a Greece supermarket, and somebody went, "Oh, Jiggle-It Geoff." I went, "Oh, right, okay, fantastic."
Yasmeen's
Um,
she found it hard to shake the memory of Jeff, didn't she? Because even after he was dead, he kept popping up to her afterwards in her dreams or
yeah.
hallucinations.
Well, the actor Ian Bartholomew has become a very good, and and always will be a huge friend of mine, as will his family.
Mm.
And yeah, we were trying to persuade them that actually that Jeff's twin brother, who was
Yeah.
completely different from him, would return and they would live happily ever after.
Oh,
Because when we started off, it was actually very funny. And
yeah.
Ian, for the first part, didn't even know what was happening. I sort of did know
Mm.
what they planned for him. But you know what they do in Corrie? They see if two people actually gel together and work. And of course we did, because we had the same background of theatre. So it started off as sort of Morecambe and Wise,
Yeah.
and not some terrible, or So we were saying, oh well, maybe I said to Ian actually, well, can he come back as his twin brother, who's really nice, and we can actually live happily ever after. And sadly, they didn't buy that idea.
No, no, they didn't. They
I
didn't,
hope
sadly.
yeah, yeah. So
Speaking of his death, I do want to ask you a little bit about those final scenes. Didn't they have to like recreate the roof of number six
yes, they
when you
did.
were?
Yeah,
Tell me what
yeah.
was that like?
Well, again, very, very cold, and they recreated it in this what is now a huge car parking area. Or actually, I think it's the playground
Yeah, I think it
in
is. I think it's where the precinct is
correct.
now, isn't it?
Yeah, the precinct. Yeah, yeah. It was quite high, although it wasn't as high
As
as
the actual roof.
the actual thing. But yeah, we had to be strapped up, and it was very cold, and but we were dressed alike, and we had of course stand-ins to do the really dangerous stuff, and but it was exciting. It was exciting. And actually, what happened was it was actually finished a lot earlier than it was supposed to finish for various reasons, because we had stopped for, and it happened very suddenly,
Mm.
and
You had to bubble up together, didn't you? I think so that you could be you and Sarah and Barty, so you could be together.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I almost forgot. Yeah, we had, at that time we weren't allowed to, and nobody was allowed to touch each
No,
other. We went through a whole period in Corrie, which is a distant and I hope and yeah,
thank
and as
goodness.
distant. I never wanted to be that again because people were in romantic scenes and they had the our lovely head of security, Dave, would come out with this
The
3 meter.
stick. Yeah, I've heard all about Dave's meter stick.
Yeah. Oh, I love Dave. He's a great friend of mine, and he'd come out with screaming, "Come on, guys, get down!" Yeah, yeah. So yes, any scenes just like that used to be. We had to be bubbled together. Um, Otherwise it would have been ridiculous. So
I,
yeah, yeah, God, and that was a really difficult time actually,
I
because some of the scenes that we were shooting, Ian and myself, it was still the 3 meter stick
Mm.
thing. So.
That week was pretty special, wasn't it? Because that was the week of Coronation Street's 60th anniversary. It must have been such a privilege for you to have been, at the center of the show for that big, big 60th week.
Yeah, of course it was. It was incredible, and it was full of emotion and what's the word I'm looking for? But everybody wanted to do the best they could,
Mm.
so it was sort of tense and trying to do stuff, and because the atmosphere, because of what had gone, or we'd all gone through
Yeah.
in the past couple of months, made everything quite intensified and yeah, it was and yeah, and a great privilege and a great privilege to have been a part of Coronation Street for the time I have been and for being a part of that storyline.
Yeah.
But we all have to um, we all have to move on to move. I've always been the sort of actor who needs occasionally to move on and do something else just to stimulate myself.
Mm. Mm.
And at 70, approaching 70, I just I just feel I want to do something else. And I think I can come back with renewed energy because I
Mm.
don't want to get into I don't want to become complacent about what
No.
I'm doing. I don't like to do that. So let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Would you
Yeah.
say that Yasmeen's character changed much over the decade? I mean, did the experience with Jeff
Oh,
change her, and did you have to like consciously change your performance of her?
No, I would say that if anything, it changed at the very beginning
Mm.
because because in effect I was asked to create the character as I went along, and there was certain about 3 or 4 things that I knew about her, for instance, being a librarian, a head librarian, so
Mm.
she'd had to have an English degree, a first
Yeah.
class English degree, things like that. So I created a character from based on a few people, writers, a lot of theatre writers, a lot of actors that I had known who were Pakistani and Indian. In
Mm.
other words, who were well, Indian, and so I created a character that I felt that I knew more about,
Right.
and that was that taken from these women actually that I'd spoken to, a couple of men, but mostly women, who had been abandoned for whatever reason, had abandoned and had decided to become abandoned from their country. And for Yasmeen, it was about her parents and not wanting her to marry
Yeah.
Sharif, and she was quite a loner. But that came after. At first, she was quite bombastic and nasty, and I
I
didn't
mean, she
like
had
that.
Leanne to contend with in some of her scenes.
For me, that she desperately wanted to become a part of the community, and in
Right.
order to do that, you don't alienate themselves.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself. You try to become. You try to become a part of the community. You don't actually rail against it. So I didn't. I decided to sort of, the whole thing with Cal and Leanne. I thought, no, she'd want them. She'd want that to happen. She'd
Yeah.
want to move away and move in with them. So
Yeah.
gradually, that sort of thing took over as we
Mm.
resolved. And
Mm.
that's good. It's very good. There are people, Dolly and who have come into Corrie for a little bit,
Mm.
and Patty, and they've created characters and stay for a long time. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's the wonderful thing about Coronation Street and actors. They allow you to have that little bit of time where you can actually start creating a character.
Mm, mm. You must have been quite relieved though after all the drama of the coercive control storyline to get a few lighter stories with
Oh man,
Kathy and Elaine. What
oh
what was
God,
what was
I
that
loved it.
period like for you?
Oh, I loved all that. I loved all that, on the bike, on the bikes, and yeah, I love it. It's
Mm,
great, and I love working. I love working with Gunny and people like that. Peter
mm,
Gunn. It's great fun. I
yeah,
want more of that. I mean, if I
yeah,
if I if I come back, I want her to come back as a laugh a minute. I want her bombast to be funny. And Sally, working with Sally and all the whole thing with the what was it, the orange tree, or what did she call it, her orangery
Oh, the
wars.
Orangery, yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
had your competition, didn't you? Your rivalry about Orangery versus
It's fun.
Conservatory.
And I think we both enjoyed it, and I think there's more, and then that's always been the balance of Coronation Street for me.
Yeah,
That you have the extraordinary comedy, which is very sad. It's very sad sometimes, but it's funny,
yeah.
as well. And I think that, yeah, I think both things should be balanced.
Mm, mm.
Whether they are or not, I suppose it depends politically on the time and whatever people are
Yeah.
doing, and producers and.
One of the things that I remember about when it was you, or when it was Yasmeen and Elaine and Kathy, you were your pink your matching
Oh yeah,
dressing
yeah,
gowns.
yeah, yeah.
Did you see
I
that
love
one of
it.
those sold recently on eBay, by the way?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah, they've
Bloody.
just been putting up some old costumes on an ITV eBay site, and yeah, your dressing gown was there. Some
Ah,
lucky listener may well even be wearing it right now. You don't know.
bloody hell. Then,
We haven't mentioned Bill Fellows yet because after that little
yes.
transitional period, you got into the next story that was Yasmin's life for the next 3 years, was it? Her relationship with Stu. So how did you find working with Bill?
Yeah, we got on really well. We still do. I haven't talked to him recently, before Christmas, simply because my life has been trying to sell the flat, trying to buy a new flat. I
Mm.
went away for a month. Yeah, we got on great. And we also have a theatre background, and
Uh,
it was fine. But I don't think that it was very it was it although it was 3 years, it was a slow developing
yeah.
relationship, and it sort of ended very quickly in a
Mm.
way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way, this is a bright, whether people agree or whether we didn't really the characters really didn't get to know each other, and before we knew where we were put together, and then apart, and
Yeah. Bill said, I think when he left that he always knew that he was going to stay with the show for just 3 years. Did you know that it was only going to be 3 years and the relationship would have a bit
I
of life?
I don't I didn't know that. He was only going to stay 3 years. I think everybody, particularly if you've had a long career in like, I mean, for instance, this is nearly my 47th year as an actor.
Mm.
And Bill, it's about, well, he's a little bit younger than me, so 40 or 42 years. You don't like to tempt fate by saying you want to stay anywhere. So before
Yeah.
you jump ship, or somebody asks you to jump ship, you say, well, I mean, I'm not saying that was his thing, but I think that I think nobody says, "Oh, I want to stay here for the rest of my life." We are superstitious animals, actors, and we
So
think if
I
we
hear.
say,
So I hear.
"That's it, bam, gone," that's it, bye.
I did
I
like the little family unit that you had with Eliza for again a little period again, but that was quite lovely.
no, I love that, and we got on. She's very clever. In
Yeah.
fact, all of those kids are just amazing. I think
Mm.
I think the Corrie kids are just astonishing. It's big now as well, and they had a little thing with oh God, Luca, who played the
Yeah,
villain,
Mason. Yeah, yeah, who
Mason.
could tool
Yeah.
them?
In fact, he got me onto what is it what's this thing that he
Oh,
got
it's
me
his
to?
TikTok. I've seen it's
Oh God, I had
yeah,
no
I've seen
idea
this.
what
If you're
happened.
listening, go and check out Lucas Toolan's TikTok for a really embarrassing video of Shelley King doing a dance. It looked a lot of fun though.
It was. I did. Do you know what? We had a little lull in rehearsals, and he and Sydney said, "Go on, Shell, do a few." And I'm going, I have no idea that it's going to get like 2 million viewers, man. I didn't know anything. I then, what?
It was great.
You.
It was brilliant. Who are you going to miss from the cast the most, Shelley?
Well, I guess. I guess obviously Sarah's been around for a long time
Mm,
in my life. Um, and for the last, I didn't really, I will very really actually I miss Patty hugely.
yeah.
Um, um, we used to share a dressing room. Mo and I, Maureen and I were great sparring partners at one point.
Mm,
Shared a dressing room and stuff like that. And I love Peter Gunn, people like that. But it really isn't only the actors, and I don't mean this, but Dave. I shall miss Dave security hugely, and Kath in security, and Linda in makeup, and Lorraine in makeup, and we were a family,
yeah, you say it's like a family. When I've been there, it's always felt like that.
Yeah.
What about the other Dave, Dave Nielsen? Is he as a top bloke as everyone else makes him out to be?
Well, yeah, he's keeps himself to himself. I've
Does he?
never, we have a chat. We're very good. I enjoy talking to him. He's a man of huge experience. But I think the thing is in Coronation Street, although I've been there 11 years, and maybe it's my age. I think that particularly if we live in London, like David and
Mm,
and Mo and myself, and then or other the other people live, it's Manchester or surrounding Manchester is their home. People tend to just do their own thing. I think young people get together much more.
yeah,
Certain people, it depends what they are. I mean, like I was always trying to go home. And I think if you're a certain age and you have some time off, you go home. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean
yeah,
don't love the people there. You don't have a good time when you're there, and in studio. But in a way, because soap in particular is such a fast moving thing. There's
yeah,
no rehearsal periods. You get to know the people in your storyline.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So Barty and I will always be friends. Uh, Jimmy Mystery and I will be friends.
Mm,
I hope Sarah and I will always be friends. I hope that Bill and I will always be friends. And even though we might not see each other or hear from each other for a couple of months, if Bill were to ring me, and certainly if Bart's were to ring me, I would be there for him or his wife, Loveday, or his kids, and they say, "Oh, can I come over, Shell?" And go, "Yeah," because they're in university there. Yeah, so that's the way it is at
mm.
at, at, at
Is there a
Coronation.
part of Yasmeen that you think you'll miss the most?
Oh God, she's so calm. I'm not calm at all. I mean, in a way, she's very sort of thoughtful and about life and what she wants to do. I'm totally, I mean, you probably have heard, I'm autistic, so my head's always going, well, I want to do this and I want to do, I'm going all about, ADHD thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish for Yasmin's, what's the word? I don't know, self-knowledge, I suppose.
Yeah.
And in spite of, I don't, I mean, how she's survived what she's had to survive, I'm, I always admire that in her and take from it as well.
Well, so Yasmeen's gone for now, but Speed Dial still lives on with Alia and
Yes.
Leanne in control. Do you think that that's a good little partnership there? Are you looking forward to seeing what
Yeah,
happens?
yeah. Well, Leanne was supposed to be my daughter-in-law, and she certainly has
Mm,
enough experience in hospitality, as it were, or restaurant as a restaurateur. So, yeah, I'm hoping that they'll get on well together. I think that a team of girls are going to be better than they're going to be power
yeah,
women, man. They're
I
going to
think
get the
so. I mean, fireworks at first, but I'm also looking forward to seeing Leanne at Speed Dial versus Nick at the Bistro.
Yeah, no, I think all sorts of things are going to happen with or whatever tensions are going to happen with Sarah's character and Sam, with
Yes.
all that, and whether he's wanting to get her back and she doesn't want to go back, or she does want to go back, and who knows. So there's all sorts of lots of soap potential going gonna happen then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, Shelley, it's been so lovely speaking to you today. Thank you very much for coming onto the podcast. I've loved hearing about your time as Yasmeen, and I wish you the very best of luck for your future, for the project you were talking about earlier. And maybe we'll see you on the cobbles one time again in the
You
future.
never know. Never
You
say
never
never, as
know.
I
You
say,
never know.
Mike. And
Well, good luck with it all, and I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
thank you very much, my love. Thanks very much. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.